I really hope that the volume is up. I'm trying to. Bear with me, fam. I hope it is. What's going on, family? This is your boy Juro. It is Tuesday, the 26th of October, 2021. How is everybody doing? So, I'm concluding my day, and with everything that's been going on socially, economically, um, I've always questioned what we see compared to what is told. And in introspect, I was like, how is it in 2021? Is it as advanced as a um, the world is? Why are we so divided? You would think as the time progresses, things that have always been questioned, there's a solution. There is a direction, right? But why is it in 2021 we're more divided than ever? Now let's and there's a reason why I'm bringing this up. So right off the bat, I had to question what's the benefit of division, because we all know lack of knowledge is power, and whoever has the knowledge has a responsibility of how they wield it. So where's the agenda? So then I started to ponder, and I said, when you base women to men when it comes to economics, women control $38 trillion globally. Let that sink in. $38 trillion. But that's not too far fetched when you think about it from an analytical point of view. Because if anyone has had the blessing of being alive for a little bit, through examples shown directly or indirectly, 9 times out of 10, when a woman is upset, she spends money. Therefore, we're talking goods and services, which ultimately means benefit of opportunity, timing. So it made me think a little more. I'm like, wait a minute. Maybe the underlying agenda that has been being perpetuated for the last 4 years was systematically done for financial gain. Follow me. It's been about 4 years, 4.5 years. And the craze to use lycra, spandex, mesh, materials used for fashion to accentuate the body, especially with the additive of you have women today that are electing to have surgeries for modifications, which 9 times out of 10 are emotionally driven. Who am I talking to? Imagine the dynamic of what our life would be that if you had people investing in their mental health. I'm not even saying from a profit standpoint. What if, as a community, you had people that genuinely invested in the well being of the people they cared about? Proverbially, each one teach one. Proverbially, it's not about you. Check on your neighbor. How you doing? Everything good? But we have been conditioned through a narrative of mind your business, stay in your lane, and silently people are going through the Lauryn Hill Killing Me Softly moment and season known as depression. Who am I talking to? So it made me think because I can relate because you're looking at somebody for 20 damn years suffer from depression. You say, well, what? You? Yes, me. Because what I ended up doing was throwing myself into my military career, focusing on the things that were challenges, but it still did not fill the void required. Or better yet, to ask the hard questions, to look deeper in myself and say, well, you know what? Why am I not happy? Why is it that on the outside I have everything to offer, but there's still a longing inside myself? Who am I talking to? And then I thought about it. And what I came to the conclusion was there is a small demographic of people that like you broken, like you distracted, want you to stay the course because guess what's happening? You are fulfilling the financial wealth of generations to come by your insecurity. Who am I talking to? Why is it the people in the 10% not showing the examples of what you find in social media? What about that? Hmm? Pick, pick your celebrity and then pick your reality. Why does it not match? Because somebody is benefiting from your distraction. So, before I cut this on, I said, you know what? I want a stat just to see the difference between spending control. And it said globally, females dictate $38 trillion globally. Now, out of that $38 trillion, how much do you think is social media driven? And better yet, why? Why? Who is spinning the web to put out the set narrative, and we and and people are biting off of it? Why is it that you can save money on truth by just standing on your integrity and saying, hey, you know what? This might be your sticking point, but you might not see it. But I'm going to tell you what you need, not what you want. And there's a deflection going on. Well, you know what? Because we've been always taught to be go-getters and to not settle. But I'm going to tell you something on this one. If you're constantly seeing a certain narrative and the faces change, the environments change, but the outcome remains the same, red flag. That is your moment to take note. That is something that you are supposed to learn. That is something that you need for your life. But here's the thing I don't. Here's the thing I was always puzzled about. We quick to ostracize those who are different, but yet will not have the courage to ask the question why. We're quick to ostracize those who are different, but we don't have the courage to ask why. You know why I said that? One thing we can both agree upon, there are men and there are women, come in all shades of the spectrum, but we're all unique. So, why is it that we demarginalize our happiness and replace it with distractive things that are only temporary? Who am I talking to? Who am I talking to? How can you yell, I'm independent, but you won't have that same energy to give yourself what you need? At first, I thought that was an anomaly, but then I saw a commonality because I could say the same thing about in generalization with women. Women, you know, when it comes to that beautiful tongue, you can articulate like the best of them. But when someone asks you, "Are you hungry?" you will say, "Yes." "What do you want to eat?" You go blank. You short circuit. Why? Then I thought about it. To do so will require you to be transparent with yourself. And for some reason, you have been convinced to show that vulnerability, that is depicted as a weakness to fulfill a need. Why? Excuse the background. Flight plan. There's another plane going to Honolulu. You know, it's like, why is it the people that have navigated their lives positively or negatively to get to a position of success, and they are the most paranoid people that you'll come to? Hold that thought. So, as I was saying, you know, sooner or later, you got to sit back, reflect that, take time to reflect that where you are right now. Everything that makes your environment right now, okay? Now, let's be generous. Go back 5 years. Does the same energy that you possess now reflect 5 years ago? Has it progressed for the better, or has it sustained? And in turn, the price was your outlook, your insecurity, your vulnerability, if that is said exposed. That's for somebody. Because as long as you have yet to find comfort in your discomfort, you will never be able to have the conversation that you need to have with yourself. Did you hear me? Until you are able to be comfortable in your discomfort, you will not be able to have the conversation with yourself. You will always take a position of it's their fault, not me. But here's the problem with that. We are what we attract. And guess what? The attraction could not occur if you was not present physically, let alone emotionally. So let's go there. Who's pushing the agenda? Who is trying to get you on their team to convince you to stay the course? And then with that, where's the loyalty to you? What is being demarginalized? Because what it looks like, somebody gave you the wrong flyer. Here's another reason why I'm going there too. And this is going to probably get under somebody's skin. But just know I say this out of love. You ready for this? You know why they want you to be independent minded? You know why? You ready? So that when the failures come, the accountability will fall on yourself. And those things that were derivatives of said decision or movement of said choice, there's no accountability there. Who am I telling you? Who am I talking to? You've heard, no, do you? No, YOLO, you only live once. No, think like a man, act like a woman. Mm-hmm. All to push the independent agenda, right? But guess what? Why isn't that same energy not being spoken to say, hey, look here, you are special, you are unique, you need to protect yourself, mind, body, and spirit. Because they also know as long as the mind's not right, the body's not going to be right. It's in that's synchronicity, family. That's why they keep telling you through the media, go on out there and sleep with whoever you want to. Get it while you can. Get it all. Twice on Sunday. There's no loyalty to them because as long as you don't require a loyalty to you, the cause and effect is disillusion. But here's the biggest price. You realize how many women are walking around today that are sterile? You realize how many women are walking around today with STDs that they cannot get rid of? And unfortunately, the big one. You realize how many people today that if they can go back in time to review said choices would, because the result is they would have their own lineage continued. Why do you think they try to put an alternative out there? So, oh well, you know what, you can't carry. That's fine. You can go this way. It's gonna cost you though. Oh, you can't overlay. Okay, that's okay. Well, you can get a surrogate. Why don't they keep it real? Because somebody making money off of it. It's not promoted to think. As long as they know that you are distracted, they got one more string in your life. They got one more angle to get to you. And oh, here you go. Let's talk about it. It don't surprise anybody that through maturity becomes wisdom, and some people apply said wisdom and change their lives. Why? Because you don't need anybody's permission to change you. What is requirement is to commit to do so. Just like I used to always say, one of my favorite poems was from the author Robert Frost. It's called The Road Less Traveled. If you've never heard it, go open the inbox. Go open the search engine, Put Robert Frost, Road Less Traveled, and listen to it. They've got the Oracle version of it. If you don't want to listen to it, just read the words of what he was saying. Very prolific. Another person was James Baldwin, and he had this. He used to do all these poems that um, were one-liners. I know there's a proper name to what it's called, but I'm having an issue right now. Plus, I got wrestling in the background. You can't see it, but it's on. And it said, "Love is a battle. Love is about scars. Love is about growing up." Right? Well, that's not guaranteed. We know that because every day someone is not guaranteed to wake up the next day. Someone is dealing with the legal system because a choice is made. Someone is in a position where they don't have an option anymore. We call that forever gone. So, as I mentioned on the last video, there is a select demographic of people that believe the planet is oversaturated with people. So guess what? Who's the number one threat? You would think men. But really, it's women. Because, yes, a man produces life, but a woman sustains life. If she's not happy, if she's not healthy emotionally, her body's going to react in tow. Come on. If she's not eating like she should, her body is going to result in not giving the proper nutrients as required. That's the cause and effect. So, you can't ignore the importance of your emotions. Let me break it down even more. Think about it this way. If you're running around all day and you got things you're trying to tackle and you got distractions woven in between, and then woven in between that, you got people that want your attention, you're going to result in unnecessary stress. And what does stress do? Stress is the silent killer because neurologically, it causes the body to whack itself out from a cellular level. Now let's add the fact that your immune system may be inhibited. Because yes, sir, you notice you don't hear people talking about autoimmune deficiency nowadays. You got the abbreviation. Why is it they're not talking about it? But listen, we know there's no cure there's no cure. There's no money in cures. There's none. That's why you haven't have a. That's why there's never going to be a remedy for or a cure for the common cold. Why? It makes a lot of money. Now imagine how much money people make when you're not focused. Today I like orange, but yesterday I like blue. But I think the next day I'll make green. There's nothing wrong with having choices. But there's a difference between making a logical decision and an emotional one. You were created from an emotional standpoint. So why would you put yourself at risk? Why would you allow people that have access to you not to respect that, not to protect that, not to embody that, because they should not have access to you? They shouldn't even hear you breathe. But they're the same ones saying, well, look at me. If I can do it, you can do it. You know why they tell you that? So they don't feel shame. Birds of a feather flock together. If she don't respect herself, Do you think she respects you? No. And if she don't respect you, how do you expect that she's going to be on a path that will ultimately reward her with the responsibility of somebody's legacy? Think about that. But you let the social narrative keep telling you otherwise. You don't need that. You can do it by yourself. So how's that working out? Now let me tell you something. First and foremost, you can never be good to anybody until you're good to yourself first. Why do you think they promoted, I want a thug dude, I want a roughneck? Because that was a demographic that they knew were unstable. Can I peel it back? They also knew as long as they were unstable, they're not an economic threat to change the narrative or the trajectory nationally, emotionally, globally. And we wonder why relationships or marriages divorce at 50%. Who am I talking to? Why is it you got more plastic friends in your drawer than on your phone? You find more comfort in going in your drawer than spending time being yourself. Who am I talking to? I know somebody's saying, well, you don't understand. There's no argument when I go to my drawer. There's no there's no conversation. It do what it do. But let me tell you this. If that was the case, why do you think they made a lane to make if it wasn't? If it wasn't important to begin with. Somebody need to hear that. Cause I got a feeling somebody saying, look, I'm tired of, girl, I'm tired of the dating game. I'm tired of being disappointed. I'm tired of feeling used. I'm so tired. I'm thinking about jumping over the fence, only to find the same shit, but worse. Only advantage is they feel what you feel, cause they are you. Now let me tell you this too, Queen. You know why they want you to burn yourself out? They're trying to keep the population control down. And they want to keep the ones that are coming, that are being birthed, to not be at their full healthy state. That's why you have so many ailments that the babies are dealing with now more than ever. Why? Come on, think about it. Why isn't it not promoted that everybody knows the best nutrients you could ever give to a child is you? But they'll say, hey, well, you know what? I know it's tender. Go on out there and get that powder. That's your DNA. Those are your, that's your immune system. How you gonna get it out of a can? I mean, you got to do what you got to do, because I know some of y'all just tender. I got that. I get it. But what I'm trying to say is your babies don't have a voice, but they see and feel everything that you are. You are proverbially the earth to them, because it's 100% dependent until they're able to, if they're blessed, to grow. That is why knowledge is very powerful. But as long as you keep worrying about what Shauna's doing, as long as you keep emulating what Emily's telling you, as long as you're not fact checking what Susie is running her mouth about, you're at risk. And maybe, just maybe, with all that being said, she's jealous and she's afraid that if you actually dedicate to loving yourself first, she knows that you're going to be the threat that she knew you were from the first hello. Hold that thought. I want to clarify something too. Because I know some of y'all, you're in your feelings right now because you think, oh, Georgia's going to get on here and just bitch about, take shots at one. Nah. For those who've been with me from day one, you know I've been riding for what you need, not what you want. And I'm telling you, you have to throw the emotional switch in your life and decide if you want to be happy. And when you make that decision, are you going to commit to doing what you need to do to have your life, to have the life that you dream of? Now, maybe you might be in a position where you're saying, well, Gerald, I understand that I made some mistakes, I made some choices because I was unaware, but deep down inside, I want to be somebody's wife. Deep down inside, I want to be somebody's mother. Number one, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. Knowing what you know now compared to what you didn't, you had to go through what you went through to set you up to make changes different from what your reality is. But if it's not from a sincere place, well, guess what? You'll keep getting what you get. Kings, there's a social narrative being played out that there's a shortage of undesirable women. You know that you can change that paradigm and they can say the same stuff by you. You do know that, right? Don't fall for the okie doke. Because as long as you guys are not working on yourselves individually, you'll never be together. If you're constantly going after what you want compared to what you need, you'll always fall short. So what really matters? Temporary bliss or your legacy? Now you might be somebody saying, well, Gerald, I feel you. I feel what you're saying. But I want somebody that can fulfill all my needs. Well, guess what? Until you're able to have a conversation with yourself first, to be the example, don't come out your mouth. Don't do it because you're playing yourself. If you have yet to put the work in yourself to be the representation of what you emotionally feel, don't be a hypocrite. Because see, society wants to convince you as long as she got a fat ass, big titties, and she may be soft on the eyes, you'll settle. But when you take the same trajectory and apply it to yourself, she ain't coming at you like that. Do you provide security? Do you are you a provider? Do you have the life skills required to be called a man? Anybody, excuse my friends, I gotta go there because somebody needs to hear this. Because you sling dick don't mean that you make a good husband. Are you a companion? Are you empathetic? Do you love yourself? Now, if you turn around and flipping it and you're hearing what I'm saying and you already discredit it, be quiet. You got work to do, son. And I called you son because you're not a man. Because society wants you to be doing boy shit. Society wants you to play the left. And meanwhile, both you, queen and king, they're laughing at you. Because until you can both union together, you're not a threat. They know that. You can't build. You're incapable of building communities, sustaining legacy, enhancing lineage. They know that because you're working. You're working from a position of today, not tomorrow. And I'll do one better. I used to say this a long time ago. If you had the ability for 1 hour to speak to your elders, would they embrace you with a hug and say thank you? Or would they beat you down for disrespecting their name? What about that? Is it so? Maybe that's the reason why you see this dynamic. Why is it the grandbaby is being raised by grandma? Now, I had this discussion about this too because I realized that a lot of times that dynamic is played out because the knowledge that was required was not bestowed on the child. And that was their indirect way of trying to make wrongs right. That happens. The other is, bottom line, irresponsibility and ignorance from the parent. Child doesn't have a say in that. They didn't ask to be here. But guess what? That's a blessing still. And it's your obligation, as long as you breathe, to make sure you afford them the opportunities that you didn't. Because we used to say this a long time ago. Each generation should have a better life than the generation before. So, if all you know is busting it open, if all you know is just tricking, if all you know is telling them, having a conversation of telling people what you want, but not what you need, with the intent of sacrificing your mortality, are you really living? Are you really living? I'd rather be by myself and be the best me than to be with a room full of people that will never protect me. Who am I talking to? Do you realize how many people deal with the fact of their cell phone is a living cemetery? So what do you mean by a living cemetery? You got dead relationships in your cell phone, in your contacts that mean nothing for you, have no intent, but just to take away. How about that? Well, Joe, you don't understand. They make me feel good, but can they protect you? Can they build with you? Can they make you feel emotionally safe? Can they be the voice of reason for you? Can they do all those things? Why do they have access to you? Well, Gerald, he swing low. But why you dumb it down just to have access? Don't you realize the man is that's gonna claim you, every desire and need that you ever could fathom? They're gonna they're gonna make sure you're good if you've done the work. And the ones that got nothing but insults and want to discredit you, they on the outside looking in, kicking themselves because they know you were the example of what happiness could be. You got to make a choice. But you ain't got to. Stay the course. Because as long as you stay the course, somebody's making money off of your insecurities until you decide to claim yourself back. Peace.